Welcome to FBB Forum. My name is David, and this podcast is dedicated to all the amazing women competing in bodybuilding. If you like this content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow my YouTube and Instagram pages. My next guest is a rising star in the world of bodybuilding. Alyssa Anderson is a veterinarian who lives in Lethbridge, Alberta in Canada. And she's not only an amazing bodybuilder, but also a strong woman and powerlifter competitor. Alyssa's most recent competition, bodybuilding competition, was last year at the CPA Nationals, where she actually won the women's bodybuilding division against a tough class of ladies. And she also competed in women's physique at nationals too. She also competed last year at the Golden Prairie Cup in women's bodybuilding and physique. And this is a show that's promoted by the amazing women's bodybuilding pro Melina Williams, who I'm a really big fan of. Stay tuned to find out more about Alyssa and where she'll compete next. Thank you for joining me, Alyssa. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. How's the weather over there in Alberta?
It's good to, well, today's a bit rainy, but it's nice because it's been really hot the last few days.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. It's been supposed to rain here in Tampa, and the rain went all around us. It totally missed us today.
There you go.
Um, so I was curious in terms of getting started in bodybuilding, did you have an athletic or sports background before you started competing and training?
You betcha. Yeah, no, ever since a young age, all I wanted to be was an athlete. I started mostly in just, at the farm, and then equestrian sports was my kind of thing. And then going into like high school, playing all the sports and doing all the things. But I started bodybuilding in 2014. Sort of later stages into my veterinary career.
Okay.
And I did a show in 2014, and I did two, and then one in 2015. I love bodybuilding. Huge fan as well. But then in 2015, I went into, my friend convinced me to do a strongman show. Well, he was going to go to the strongman show. I just said I was just going to follow along for funsies. And then they all ended up talking me into it. And then I qualified for provincials. And then I qualified for nationals. And then just went downhill from there. So I just stuck with strongman because I'm going to be honest with you, significantly better at strength sports than I am at bodybuilding.
Okay.
I just love bodybuilding. I would argue that was my first love, and that's really what I enjoy. And I'm a fan more of bodybuilding.
I
I'm
see.
not as good as a competitor.
Oh, but you look great though from the shots I've seen for bodybuilding. You look amazing.
Oh yeah. I'm a bit tall, and I need a lot more muscle to fill out my frame. I started a little late just because in strongman and powerlifting, for years I just tried to stay in the 140 class.
Okay.
Just got to the point where I just outgrew it. I'm 5'7". And then, all those years avoiding hypertrophy, trying to be as strong and as small as possible, that really, set me back, I think, a little bit.
I understand. Yeah, that makes sense. I love your cat in the background, by the way. Your cat's so cute.
It tries to pretend it doesn't.
That's so cute. Um, now, in terms of bodybuilding, what division did you start with? I was curious.
Yeah, I started in figure.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I started way back in figure, and yeah, the first few shows are just terrible. The community wasn't there. There was no muscle, but I had fun.
That must have been interesting with you being tall and then wearing the heels too. You'd be super tall, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, way too tall.
I know that's tough being tall like that and competing against some of the shorter ladies that can pack on more muscle because they're just shorter, squatter, you know. So yeah.
And that's why I think like physique is going to be a little bit better for me. I don't have the prettiest shape, but I think, with adding the right muscle in the right places, I can improve on it.
Okay.
So I think that's where, and that's what I've got for judges' feedback too, is that you're not a women's bodybuilder, but just it ends up being that most of the shows I've gone to is just I have the most muscle mass. So I
Yeah.
think that's a big play. And that's where at Golden Prairie Cup, that's what I got told is you're definitely women's physique. You're definitely, have a lot of muscle, but physique is very to be. I'm like, yeah, no, I think I do.
I got you. I understand that. That makes sense, I think, for you. Yeah, to do women's physique. And yeah, hopefully, I hope you can get pro card there too. That would be awesome.
It would be really fun.
One thing I did want to mention before I forget, and I can't remember if I have it in my questions down below, but in terms of getting, you was it a little heartbreaking not to get your pro card in women's bodybuilding after you won the division at CPA Nationals, but you said there was not enough ladies that were there to make it so that they could give you a pro card.
Yeah, no, and that's often a problem, and especially like with Canada. So there's only so many pro qualifiers that you can go to, just because
Mhm.
or we can't go to the American ones. So
Mhm.
it just me, yeah. I mean, to be fair, every time I sort of like even at the Arnold's and when I went to that one or the shows where there haven't been enough women, to be fair, I was never in the contention for the pro card. It's still
Mhm.
frustrating though. It's nice to have they know that there's an option and a goal. You don't necessarily feel as heartbroken when there's sort of like, okay, at nationals, I think the one thing I will say, as much as it's sort of understandably frustrating when we show up and there's not enough women and it tends to be a problem that's ongoing. I think from my days of strength sports, I will sort of compliment the CPA and IFBB for following the rules. I mean, like they're frustrating and they are what they are, but they're consistent with their rules and they're consistent with everyone. And for me, that's just really a breath of fresh air coming into bodybuilding. So I can be frustrated as I want, but there's only 4 women, so that's the rules, and they're steadfast on them, and that's fair. And to be fair, you can attest for your pro card. I just didn't, because I agree with them. I think my pro card in bodybuilding, I don't think they would award me it, and I think I would agree with them in bodybuilding. I don't think I'm there. I'm not there in bodybuilding. I could
Uh-huh.
maybe argue that I could have been there in physique, but I don't think my physique's a pro physique yet. So
Okay.
I'm okay with that. So for me, it's like, no, I agree. Let's when I want it's there's a saying in strength sports, don't let the judges decide.
Yeah.
Be undoubtedly the winner, and then you don't have to let anybody decide. And I didn't, and therefore I'll move on and try again.
Well, I beg to differ with you. I do think you have pro physique because I think you looked amazing. So yeah, no, but I really think no, I understand where you're coming from though. But yeah, I just think it's tough when and I know that's a problem in Europe too when there's not enough ladies that show up at the pro qualifiers and then the ladies who do compete um don't get a pro card because even if they petition because there's not enough competitors showing up. So I know but that is more of a competitor issue than the sanctioning body. I think it's important to show up. I think and so
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
So
that's a valid point. I mean, it's hard in bodybuilding because in strength sports, it's easy. We have the same conversation, especially, back in sort of 2018, 17, when the women's side was getting really big in strongman. Is sort of like there's no opportunities for us and this and this and this. And it's like, well, people, but then you make the opportunities, right? And
yeah.
so, yeah, I feel that. Okay. And then we got to the point in, what was it, 2019? I remember being Worlds 2019. All of us girls were kind of there, the bigger names and everything, and we're just all exhausted. And I remember saying, like, you guys good? And they're like, no. Only because there would end up being so many opportunities that you don't dare say no to them. But it ended up being
Mm.
I had a Duberville, which is a really heavy show, and then we had US Women's Worlds, and then we had Worlds, and then you had Arnold's right away. Like that year I tore my tricep off because I knew it was gonna happen because you just do too many shows. I mean,
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just you get to the point where so I can understand bodybuilding is a different story. There's a long stretch to these shows. So it's easy to say, oh, just compete more. And I know that's not necessarily the answer either, but
Mm.
I don't have the answers. It's just yes, it's frustrating, but I guess being in strength sports, there's also times when maybe, yeah, there's not enough women. So, this person gets it, this person doesn't, but there's not necessarily that hard line justification. And then
Mm.
the lines get muddied and then the pro cards don't win as much. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's easy to complain, and I do because we all do. We're human. But I mean, we just have to promote the sports and if you don't think you're ready, like sometimes I've told girls too, I said, like, I'm competing. I understand that I'm not potential for that pro card, but if I'm a placeholder, then I'm here.
Yeah. I got you. No, I agree with you on that. Yeah. And the rules are so different among the three sports. Um, So yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Um, one thing I would mention too with coming to USA to compete, could you do North Americans? Because that's in Canada and Mexico, isn't it? And
So North Americans, amateur Olympian, the Arnold, but you have to get a letter from Mr. Ron has to make sure that you're of good enough caliber to go. And then
oh, okay.
competed enough, and he wants to make sure that we put the best forward for Canada.
Mhm.
So understandably he's choosy. So you know, and if, yeah, if you just so yes, you can, but there's only so many that will go a year.
I got
It's
you.
difficult to get into, depending on your caliber.
Well, I think you got the caliber definitely. So, um, now I was curious, do you have in terms of bodybuilding, a fitness role model or somebody you really look up to that you like in terms of women or men?
Oh, Angela, I love her. Must love her. And so I knew her for back in like the powerlifting days. And the first time I met her was at oh goodness, it was Arnold's when I did powerlifting. It was the XBC deadlift. I think what was that? It was, I don't know. It was, I think it was before COVID. Anyway, but I saw her there, but she was significantly smaller at the time. I think she was just getting into sort of women's bodybuilding. She obviously did physique for a while. And she's hard to miss. She walks past you and you're like, my goodness. She's just and like so nice. I'm a huge fan. I'm a fangirl. That's what she's
Said what you said, Angela, what was the last name?
like Angie Eo. Like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She's amazing. Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
I love her. Yeah, I like her a lot.
love her. I love her. She's it comes from powerlifting, and then she's also she uses she's a geared lifter and everything like that too. Like that, she's just
I like her too because she's kind of got that kind of unique style and kind of goth style going on. She's really neat. Yeah.
well, and that's someone who really personifies that, like her personality and it's like, and I don't know, I'm just one of these people. I'm like, be weird. Like I think that's fascinating, and I think maybe nowadays some people are just afraid to be weird because it's just, and not that she's weird, but she's just so uniquely herself. But I
I don't
just
know.
it just yeah, it's like you can really appreciate it.
I like that too. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. That's cool.
Mhm. I love her.
Yeah, I do too. She's really great. She's a good role model, I think, and somebody to
Absolutely.
look up to. I think you definitely, yeah. Um, I was curious was it tough to get up on stage in a bikini for your first show? Was it kind of nerve-wracking? And do you get nervous at all now when you compete in bodybuilding?
Mm, not really. I don't know. It's never really been a well, okay. So I started off as a farm kid, and we did 4-H, and we did public speaking, and I've done public speaking since I was 6 years old.
Really?
Um, yeah, so that was something that I just we did, and that was every year. And you had to, regionals and whatnot with public speaking. So I just don't know. And yes, getting on stage with the bikini is significantly different, but it's just sort of like suck it up and do it. That's where you're at. I don't know. I'm also a little bit of, well, if you know my Instagram, a little bit more of a free spirit, perhaps is a way to put it. I don't know. I am me. You either like me or you don't, and that is okay. I don't
Okay.
I don't have any fears about being judged. I know I'm judged. In fact, I'm one of those people where when I walk into the gym, I don't want people to look at me and go, "Oh, she's beautiful." I want people to look at me and go, "Oh my God, what is that?" Like that's what I
Um,
want. I want people to look at me and that's disgusting. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like you're awesome. Like that's me. And people think I'm obnoxious. I am obnoxious, but yeah, I'm that person where I want to look like this, and maybe that's not going to put me on the Olympia stage one day, but I like how I look, and that's what we're going for. So
That's awesome. I love that. That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Good philosophy on life too, I think, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's just people are going to judge you regardless. You might as well give them something to talk about.
Yeah.
Well behaved women never make history.
Yes, exactly. I like that. I love that. No, I got you.
Yeah.
Um, no, that's really cool. I think that's good. I think that's good for people to hear that too. I think, and I think from what I've seen of you on stage, you definitely bring a real confidence level um
Yeah.
that some ladies that I think get nervous on stage are lacking, but that confidence level is kind of like a winning attitude too, you know, so.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you're just, like I said, it's supposed to be a sort of, well, and I come from strongman. It's a spectator sport. You know, you're out there. I am out there to entertain you. I'm not a fitness girly. Goodness gracious, I would fall on my face. I'm not graceful whatsoever. So instead, I need to make it at least somewhat entertaining
Yeah.
in the way that is perhaps more charming than graceful. So that's what I do instead.
Oh, cool. I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, we talked a bit about it before we started recording, but that's something bodybuilding is lacking, I think, is the hype and the promotion and some of the maybe a little bit of kayfabe, you know, that you see in wrestling. That kind
Yeah.
of that, but that hype is, you know, really exciting too, and I think it helps attract an audience. But how do you think we can bring some of that to bodybuilding?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And I think there's two sort of windows on this. I think there's a lot of people who maybe want to, come at it from the serious route, and they do that with their Instagram, which I think is fabulous. But I come from Strongman, and my Instagram is Dr. Scoopy. It's a bit strange. Where did that come from? My best friend in the world, Scott Wallace, he died here last year.
Mm,
But such a sweetie. But we would go around everywhere in strongman competitions together, and he's a huge fan of wrestling. And now in strongman, it is less of a sport and more of a entertainment. And case in point is World's Strongest Man.
mhm,
It's invitation only. It's they're looking for ratings for the TV show, and so you can argue whether that's right or wrong. But in my profession, in strongman, you come with your walkout song. You have your flashy things that say Dr. Scoopy. You have your persona. You have I'm Melissa, but when I am competing, I'm Dr. Scoopy. I'm someone completely different. I have my persona when we promote shows. When you sign up for shows, like Duberville's a good one. My favorite show I've ever been to. It's middle of nowhere, Ontario, sort of Canada, in off the beaten track. But these people love strongman. So
mm.
big purses, $10,000 for the women, which is unheard of.
Wow.
But when you sign up for those shows, you're supposed to promote them.
Yeah.
So what we would do is we would start. I mean, I'm not advocating for this, depending on your views, but we would start crop talking each other. So I
Yeah.
would go to one of the girls and say, "I'm so excited to beat you. Your farmer's walk, your grip is nothing. Welcome to Canada. Our grip is everything," because that's what we're known for. And then the Americans would be like, "Well, we're just going to beat you in overhead log because clearly you can't press anything." And we just start, and it was fun because it was very wrestling esque and over
Yeah.
the top. And Scott was very much like that, where he'd scream into the camera and those sorts of things. So when I came over to bodybuilding, and I'm a fan of bodybuilding, I understand the sport a little bit, but maybe not from a competitor's point of view. I did. I came into my first weigh-in with all the things, and I was over the top and ready to go. And everyone was like, I think I got a comment like, "You're really taking this oh a lot here." And I was like, "Oh, this is not it. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry." Like, like that didn't bow for me too well, I don't think. But I think like I don't know. I just assumed like bodybuilding strongman seems very similar, and I not discounting the hard work that goes into either sport. I've been in both; they're very difficult.
Yeah.
But it's for the audience, and that's how I maybe view it. And I guess that's how maybe my Instagram is viewed: is that I am a bodybuilder. This is my
Yeah.
product. Enjoy, and rip me apart and say what you think is good and what is bad. And for me, also, I think it's helpful because sometimes you've got posing coaches saying this pose isn't good or that's not or this is fluid. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I think there's strong views either way about it, and I think the CPA and the IFBB keep it nice and professional. And I'm not saying that we need to be like mean to one another, but um,
Mhm.
I'm just I'm trying to find my way in bodybuilding that allows for promotion and allows for fun in maybe more weird and extravagant ways,
Okay.
without
Yeah.
stepping on the toes that I don't think necessarily is my place or my sport yet.
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea. And I've talked about that before, that I think,
Mm.
you know, hyping and promotion, that kind of thing. And I always thought, I told you, Randy Macho Man Savage has had the best promos, and you can
Love
watch
him.
him on YouTube. You know, they're so fun to, he's, he's just the ultimate showman. But I would love to see more of that in bodybuilding, just because I think it could help expand the audience for sure, but make it make it more fun, make it more
Mm.
people from outside of the bodybuilding world to view it too, you know. So
Because I mean, like the open male bodybuilders do this, whether
mhm,
it's real or not. I mean, you could argue. I mean, there's probably some parts of it that are and parts of it that aren't. But I mean, it does build that part of it. You know, I am a fan as
mhm,
well. You know, and so I think sometimes when people are like, you know, this is a professional sport. I mean, I'm not discounting the professionalism, but we can also have fun with it in the sense of like there's always a chit chat about it. Like, look at
mhm.
Nick. You know, he's got his own personality. He's a fun fellow. You know, he's
Yeah.
not afraid of controversy. He's just gonna say it how it is.
Mhm.
He hasn't competed in the last few years. He's still a household name. Well, why?
Yeah.
Because he's still involved in talking about, look at Guy, Sister Nino, again, same. You know, he
Mhm.
hasn't competed. They're fans of it, bringing back to that sport, and you could argue about, and no one. But the funny thing is, no one argues with them about professionalism. It's entertainment. They're bringing a lot back to the sport. They're bringing different and I could argue it's what you're doing, right? Where you're bringing information and entertainment. And I think that I don't know if it's because on the women's side we're a little bit afraid to, or maybe we're just a different beast and that's not for everybody. But
Mhm.
I think maybe we can come up with our own sort of niche. I think the Rising Phoenix does that really well too, where there's lots of sites that do it. But I mean
Yeah.
potentially a lot more room for weird folk like me.
Yeah, I got you. I understand. No, I love that. I'm glad that you did
Mhm.
mention that and that we could talk about that because I that's something I haven't really talked much about in my podcast here. So I'm glad that you feel that way too. That yeah, and coming from strong man and strong woman background too. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can convince them eventually to do stuff like that.
Maybe people are just thinking about it. Maybe we're just coming at it from a different angle, and maybe it just needs to be like, oh, like, like I've actually stopped wearing a lot of my like sponsor stuff that says Dr. Scoopy all over it because I think that I've gotten too many comments where it's a bit much. Okay, not my
Yeah.
place. Well, we'll calm down a little bit, and then if I do get enough sort of perhaps you know notoriety, I can become a little bit more weird again and do a lot more like, sort of fun stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
and even sort of like posing routine things, like I'm feeling out what maybe fans and judges are wanting. But for me, I like the like weird, strange, music choices, and I
Yeah.
don't think it's going over very well. So I'm
Oh.
having I think of maybe trying to just do a little bit more traditional sort of posing stuff, and I think I'm a bit too much.
Oh no, I appreciate the weird music too. I like weird music and I send sometimes some competitors some music ideas and they're like, so no, I totally agree with you on that. There's some fun music too that could be played more. A lot of times you hear too much of the same songs, I think, and I'm like, I need a little
Yeah, like
variety.
I went all the way to like classic the one time, and then I'm like all the way over to like hard metal, and anyway, so I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see. I have a few ideas. What I tend to do is like the bodybuilding. I tend to do the weird one just because I feel like it's you're a little bit more leeway with that. In the physique, I try to be more feminine and whatnot, but
Oh,
we'll see.
sure. I'll have to send you some song suggestions.
Always love all of them.
I like the weird stuff, totally. It's
Me too. I have this new
uh,
one. It's like Circus Freak. It's like weird circusy music. I was like, ooh, this will be fun.
oh, nice. Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you
my
heard
new.
of there's a great band called Caravan Palace that does this kind of almost like the flapper music from the 20s, but it's all updated and all kind of, synthesizers and
Oh, that is cool.
it's really
Yeah,
cool. I'll send it to you.
that's awesome. Please do. That's
Oh man. And cool, just cool sound overall. So
right.
um
Well, and it's strange that like I'm just even if you have those big shows like the Toronto Pro or like New York, like why the athletes. I understand why you're not allowed to pick your own music for like your individual routines, but like in strongman that would be like a walkout song. You have your own walkout song,
yeah.
with your own music, and then you can have what I mean. Like anyway, but there's a few things where I'm like, oh, there's a lot we could do here. I
Mhm.
understand that like and also I've helped run powerlifting, strongman, and bodybuilding shows. I get it. I've been there. There's a lot, but yes, especially for
Mhm.
those big shows, like have a little bit more of your personality come out in some of those. Not that they're not already coming out, and because those women are incredible, but
Mhm.
um, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, it might be nice to think about times. What are the what do our fans want to see?
Hmm.
I mean, I think that maybe in strongman we talk a lot more about that. What do the fans want to see?
Hmm.
And we especially specifically for like events, like okay, let's do this event. Okay, this one's gonna take too long. It's gonna be too boring for the fans. Let's do this one. But even in bodybuilding, what are the fans wanting to see? You know, I think we need to maybe think a little bit about more about that too.
I also would like to see more like fan surveys and you know,
Agreed.
yeah, and even survey like who are you here to see? Are you here to see the women or the men or whatever? Just to kind of. I haven't really seen much of that at all from the promoters and
Well,
even
exactly.
go ahead.
Well, yeah, because it's yeah, especially when they're like, oh no, like this, this division's not bringing enough people. Well, how do you know that?
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, I mean, do the surveys and then make those decisions. Like, oh yes, in fact, we don't have as many people as we do, or no, there actually is a lot more women's bodybuilder fans than we thought, and they are actually coming out, and they are because
yeah,
the women's bodybuilding fans are loyal. They'll come out and they will spend that money and they will pay for the live stream and they will do those sort of things. Like I pay for the live stream. I'm a fan. I want to see all my girls that I enjoy.
yeah.
Um,
I
so
agree.
yeah.
I think even live stream buyers, those people should be surveyed too, because they should, kind of get their
So
feedback on who are they here to see, what do you think of the live stream? What can we do to improve? That kind of thing. No, I agree with you on that. I think that would be good.
absolutely.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll have to work on that, try to get them to do more. And one thing I was thinking too with the walk off or the walk up songs is like baseball players do that before they
Mhm.
go up to to bat, at home plate. But yeah, I think that would be terrific. I love that idea. So um
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like, the tough thing about bodybuilding versus a lot of the other sports, because I'm also really involved in sort of the sort of MMA side of it. I help out with cage and stuff like that as another side job, and
mm,
a lot of my friends do that. I go to a fight gym mostly just because those guys are awesome. But it's
yeah.
similar to that. Is sort of like the production value and the entertainment value associated with
Hmm.
that, and making it sort of user friendly for fans. I mean, and
Hmm.
I'm not, this isn't a criticism on bodybuilding whatsoever because don't think we were. I mean, I can't speak at all, but I don't think we were big enough to really talk about that yet because, we
Hmm.
needed to build the fan base first. We needed to build the divisions, but we're getting to the point where it's popular enough where we're building those divisions.
Yeah.
And we're getting those conversations about backdrops from some other things. And these aren't, I think we're just progressing and this is really exciting. And these are not poo-poos or criticisms. They're just sort of like, here's
Hmm.
ideas because
Hmm.
we're all excited to push this forward because we see a future in it. We see where it's going, and I think that's just the natural progression. Of course, these conversations haven't been had in the past because I don't think we were big enough. And in strongman, we weren't necessarily big enough either. We were just in
Yeah.
parking lots and schools, and we didn't have those conversations. And now all of a sudden, it got so big that we're talking about the big screens and audios and those sorts of things. So I just. Yeah, I think that's the natural progression, and it's exciting that we can sort of maybe come up with ideas and talk about those sort of things. And inevitably, we're not going to step on any association's toes. They know best what they want. But from an athlete perspective and maybe from a social media perspective, I mean, there's a lot more we could potentially do there.
I agree with you. No, I appreciate that. You talk about that because I think that makes sense. It's a good idea. Yeah, and I agree with the natural progression of things as the sport grows and yeah. Um, so I wanted to ask you real quick, what was your last bodybuilding competition, and had you placed there? And I know it was CPA Nationals, but you did women's bodybuilding and women's physique. So had you placed at both of those?
So yeah, so well, women's bodybuilding, I won. There was four amazing girls in that class.
Yeah.
So no pro card there, but that was really, really fun as always.
Uh-huh.
Women's physique was a little bit more competitive. There was a tall and a short class, and the tall class was myself and Amber Larson. She won that and went on to win her pro card.
Yeah.
Incredible. She looked incredible, incredible conditioning. Super sweetheart, totally deserved it. Yeah, lots of fun to be on stage with her for sure.
That's
But
great.
yeah, no, that's the CP. That was my first time at nationals in Canada, and it was incredible. Like it was just,
Wow.
um, I think I think that was the best show bodybuilding that I've been to. That was really great. And then I decided to go back to Toronto again here in 5 weeks, just because it's the same venue, run by similar people. They do a really good job there.
Is CPA Nationals also in Toronto?
Yeah, they'll be in Toronto in later in I think September, October this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. Amber is amazing too. I have seen
Oh yeah,
pictures and videos. She's really beautiful too. So yeah.
she's just
Uh,
so positive and upbeat.
yeah, she is. She's really sweet. Yeah, I like her too. Um, and yeah, I forgot she's in Canada too. I was thinking she was US, but yeah, that's really cool.
Mm.
Um, that's great about Toronto too. That's exciting. And you said that is a pro qualifier, right?
You betcha, you betcha. So, and I know there is two lovely ladies who are going as of right now, both from Alberta.
Mm,
But there's Toronto's always really competitive, so it'll be a
yeah.
really good show.
Are you going to do women's physique and bodybuilding there or just physique?
You betcha. Yeah, my theory is always we never have enough women in either division, so regardless of what I look like, we'll do both.
Good.
Because I mean, inevitably, I'm gonna be, they're really good about not sort of giving double pro cards and things like that. So I mean, I'll be helping out somebody else, and that's a nice
Yeah.
place. To
Okay, terrific. That's great. I'm glad you're going to do that. Yeah. Um, I was curious in terms of uh I can't remember if we mentioned this before or after recording, but in terms of competing in strong women and powerlifting meets, how long have you done that?
The so Strongman started in 2015. Um, and then powerlifting. I never. My strength blocks were always really short in the sense of like so in strongman I was always weight classed, and so that's why I really don't think my strength journey helped me a whole lot in bodybuilding. I think it's helped a little, but because I would never did any hypertrophy, it was always as strong as possible but don't gain any weight because I need to stay in 140. For the record, I'm 5'7", so that's difficult.
Mhm.
And then I got to the point where I was at worlds in 2018. Yeah, in 2018, where I was sitting in an off season around 170, 180, and
Wow.
then I'd cut down to, roughly 155, and then I'd water cut to 140.
Mm.
And so I remember 2000. I remember yeah, that Worlds I missed weight the first time, and I was just freaking out because in Worlds, like if you miss weight, that's it. You've flown to North Carolina, you've got everything, and you're just not competing, and it is all for nothing. And they
Really?
are harsh about that. Yeah, you can't go up a weight class because that's the weight class that you. So you just it's all or nothing. So I
Wow.
spent the rest of the day trying to lose a pound. I finally did. I don't remember weighing in. And then I got a few IVs. I remember, so I weighed in 140. I competed at the first day was 170, the second day 175, and the third day just over 175.
Oh,
So
wow.
after that weight cut, I remember sitting in the bathtub trying to cry to my coach, going, "Never again. I'm going up a weight class." But
Oh,
the silly
yeah.
thing is that, so with Worlds always being in sort of November, December, Arnold's is in March. So I had qualified for Arnold's in the 140 weight class, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. But
Oh,
that year, that Canada had changed the weight classes in strongman, so they allowed me to go up to middleweight, which was nice. But didn't have enough time to fill up that weight class. But anyway, long story short, yeah, it's I spent a lot of time trying to stay smaller, so I don't think it necessarily helped me in bodybuilding a whole lot. But yeah, I
mm.
did strongman for a lot of years. I dabbled in moss wrestling, grip sport for a bit. Uh, Powerlifting, I'd always just YOLO competitions. Like even my first moss wrestling competition, Andrew at Strength Edge was sort of like, "We're doing moss wrestling, North Americans." He's like, "I signed you up, be there." Okay. So- and then I won North Americans for the women. So that was kind of fun.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was so random. And then, but powerlifting, honestly, if I'm gonna be honest with you, I never actually trained a whole lot for it. It was always sort of like,
Mm.
well, this strongman comp has a squat and this one has a deadlift, and I'll somewhat do bench in the middle. Or if I was injured, I would just go do powerlifting. So like when I messed up my hip or my knee, I would just go deadlift and do push pull, bench and deadlift. But
Okay. Wow.
some of my best friends, like Jeremy and Julianne up in Whitecourt, they're powerlifters and they're really good friends of mine. So they'll just be like, "Hey, we need another ref, take this test," or "Hey, we need another competitor, jump in here or do this." Okay, whatever.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Hmm.
I was imagine you at 140, were you pretty shredded? I mean, to lose all that weight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I lost a bit of muscle too, but yeah, it was more so the water cut, I think, more than anything.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah, it's just I don't miss doing those. They were terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. That's tough with that weight
Yeah.
consideration too. Oh my gosh, yeah. So it sounds like you prefer strongwoman over powerlifting for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
way better at it. Like I can't. I'm a terrible bench. I have it absolutely, but my overhead is better than my bench. So, like yeah, had the Canadian record for circus dumbbell. Deadlift's my specialty. That's so my best deadlift was being my 600 pound deadlift I did in
Wow.
2021. Yeah, so I mean deadlift's my thing, but bench is not.
Yeah, I gotcha. Do you do
Hmm.
the Atlas stone too? I always thought the Atlas stone looked really difficult and I worried I've seen like men like doubling over and like it just looks really painful if you don't do it right, you know.
Oh my goodness, oh, yeah, Atlas stones are one of my favorite. I think my heaviest I did was like 315, I think.
Wow.
To I think it was 16. I don't know. It was quite high. Those are fun. My friend does a bunch of stones. The Max Monsters was down there, did a bunch of stones there. Those are really incredible. I the only time I've ever went viral is when I did a face plant after a world record deadlift at
Oh
Worlds.
no.
That was so much fun. So at the time it was a world record. It was 585 in a competition. So we had just done log, and then yeah, next was deadlift, and it's rising bar. So with rising bar, it means that once the next person's done, you go. So if that means you get 2 seconds rest, too bad. You get 2 seconds rest. That's how strongman works. So
Really?
because we were getting the end, they told me like so the girl had gone before me, she had failed. I had it would have been like 1 to 2 minutes from my last attempt at 565, I think.
Oh
And
wow.
and the guy's like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you enough time to take your breath, as much time it takes me to go get a bottle of water and come back, and then you got to do it." And I'm like,
Wow.
"Okay." So and also keep in mind, I'm a Canadian. I'm polar bear. I like cold, very
Hmm.
cold. At the time, it was October. At the time, there was 3 foot of snow on the ground. I'd flown to Texas. It was the wickedest heat wave ever.
Yeah.
Prior to the deadlift, someone had thrown a bunch of ice on the ground, and I was lying in it, covered in this ice. The
Oh
girl who
wow.
ended up winning the show, because I got second that show, was from Louisiana. And I remember sitting in the ice. So I shit you not, I'm like lying down. The ice is here, and I'm just trying. There's no shelter whatsoever. The sun's beaming down, and I'm trying to think like, don't die, don't die, don't die. And the girl from Louisiana strolls by. She's like super fun. I love her. She's just like, "Guess it's time to warm up." She didn't know I was there. I was like, "Are you shitting me? Warm up." Anyway, so the deadlift was in the suit. So I have a full deadlift suit, and I sponsored at the time was Cerberus, and so these figure eight straps. But the figure eight straps, they tie you to the bar, means that you're tied to the bar. You can't let go. Nothing.
Oh,
Which
really?
is fine. Live or die. Deadlift or die, right? So
Yeah.
and in strongman you can hitch, right? So I'm sort of bent over backwards trying to hitch up the deadlift, and I always get it stuck in one spot. And I shit not. It was like one. It was like it felt an eternity. I'm sure it was like a few seconds where I was sitting there just not moving. And I'm thinking, I'm so close. I'm so close. And in strongman, usually there's no spotter. So usually it just there's
Oh.
nobody behind you. So then all of a sudden I end up hitching up and I'm like, oh. So I started to lean back and I'm like thinking to myself, I'm
Oh.
tied to the bar, which means now, and it's so slow that it's happening like this. And as it's happening with that,
Oh.
I'm thinking to myself, if you extend your arms, you're going to break your femur and your humerus, but it'll save your pelvis. Save your pelvis, that'll be fine. It's fine. And so that's what I'm thinking as I'm going back. And then
Oh
there's a spotter
no.
here. And I'm like, yeah. So as a spotter, I bounce off him and fling myself forward. Because I'm thinking to myself, if I go forward, it's just my face. If I go
Yeah.
backwards, I know that something's snapping. Because it's, 585. That's going to be coming down on
Wow.
me.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I face plant. And because I'm tied to the bar, I roll under it, and And I didn't pass out. People thought I passed out. I didn't pass out. I was just stuck.
Oh
Um,
no.
so
Oh
I knew
wow.
it. I saw the ground coming. But I'm my first love is horses. I'm used to riding horses. So for me, not a big deal. You just tuck and roll. I rolled with the bar. No injury whatsoever. I was completely fine. I stood up and I started laughing
Wow.
because I was just like, this is great. I didn't break anything. Because the
Oh
entire time was going back, I was thinking, okay, this is it. Like, okay, we're done for the season. Like, it is. But yeah, I was
yeah.
laughing. I didn't have a single scratch on me. And then went on to compete the rest of the competition and got second.
Really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's great that you didn't get hurt. Wow. It's
It's
good.
just you don't fall from like the standing. It's not a big deal. And the 500 pounds went that way.
Yeah, that's good. It's good you had that forethought to know which way to fall too, you know?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I fail a lot.
Wow, that's amazing. Gosh, 585. That's really
Yeah,
incredible. That's so cool
yeah.
though.
That was
Um,
good fun.
I bet. That's really neat though. That's amazing. Yeah, that's impressive though. That's great that you're okay and you didn't get hurt, you know? That's an amazing story though.
Yeah. Strongman, like we always say in strongman, it's not a matter if, but when you get hurt. And I think the best part about moving to bodybuilding is that I don't hurt anymore. Like
Yeah.
I go to train and I don't
Mhm.
hurt. I come home and
Yeah.
I don't hurt. My joints don't hurt. Like
Yeah.
once a season you'll tear something off. And even when you're like looking at shows in that 2019 when I looked at those three shows and I go, okay, well, which worlds do I go to? And then this show has $10,000 in prize money. Like, which
Mm.
show am I supposed to go to? And I'm like, well, I'll go to all three, knowing that either I'll hurt myself at one or, an injury is coming. I'm fully aware of that. And yeah, it happened. So,
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of that's what I've heard from some ladies that did CrossFit. Now they're doing bodybuilding. It's like it just seems safer, not less injuries prone and such. So yeah, that's a good thing. It give you some more longevity, probably not to get hurt so much and stuff. So
oh
yeah.
man, my body feels so much better. Like every time I go to train, like a deadlift, my entire week would revolve around that. And
Mhm.
so not only eating, but training. But then that day, the
Mm.
entire day, you'd be nauseous and just, until you got that lift and then you'd be good. And then you couldn't walk the next day. And then, you finally get walking again and finally get up. And by the time you get up again, you deadlift again. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. One thing I was curious about too, you mentioned this show in Texas. Was this actually outside?
Oh yeah, all strong, well, most strongman shows. Yeah, Texas. It was outside. There was no shelter.
Oh
There
wow.
were no bathrooms. There
Gee.
were no anything. So what we did is we took a bunch of cardboard out of the dumpster and started making little forts for ourselves. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
and also to be fair, it was a woman's only show, so that's why.
Oh, I
Because
see.
it's a
Yeah.
woman's only show. They only had so much money.
Mm.
So, but yeah, so the deadlift platform I was on was just sort of like piece of wood, and I face planted into gravel. Because yeah, it's
Mhm.
all just you're either in a parking lot somewhere or this would grass some sort of graveled spot somewhere. But yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've seen it on TV where they have the outside ones, but in terms of seeing it in person, I've only seen them like at the bodybuilding expos,
Mm.
and those are inside. So yeah, no, wow, that's crazy though. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that must have been tough for you being from Canada. I'm kind of acclimated to the heat being in Tampa. I
Oh
was,
man, so yeah, we went to, and then when I flew home from Texas and I saw like it was snowing, we came into a blizzard and I cried a little. I was like, oh God, thank you.
oh,
Go outside in
I,
a t-shirt. You're like, thank you. It's terrible. So
I,
hot. And then so the Worlds that year was in Daytona Beach.
mm,
Yeah, so like a World's Strongest Woman or whatever, the USG or OSU was in Daytona, Florida. And so when they announced that, I said, if it's outside, I'm not going. I said,
no,
never again, never again. I nearly died. That was just like, yeah, it was, I just couldn't. So, but no, they're like, oh no, it's inside, it's with AC. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. But just because it's inside, it's terrible. Because we've had strongman comps up north, because I moved down south here, but I'm from up north where I've done stones in the snow and
really?
we've done competitions in full snow. We'll have Arctic competitions up there too. Like,
Wow,
and in fact, most of our outdoor comps are either done in like snow or rain or something like that. So it's the heat
wow.
it's just not used to.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Oh yeah, I can understand that though. I think
My 150-pound circus dumbbell was done in full rain,
really?
blazing rain. Yeah, outside in a parking lot.
Wow. That would
Yeah.
be a cool shot though. I could see a cool video or a cool shot on that one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one was a cool one.
They're like a movie shot, kind of.
Right? Drowned rat. Oh, and so that year it was, this was provincials, I think. It was a squat. I was a yoke squat. Yeah, no, it was a full just squat. So it was an axle bar squat. So, you have your typical barbell and the axle bar is this big. Well, it's raining. And
Oh
so
wow.
um, the axle bars don't have knurling on them because we make them. So all my strongman equipment I just weld up myself. Like there's trying to get shipping from the States is way too expensive up here. So we usually
Okay.
just make our own stuff. So a lot of them are just, and a lot of the guys are machinists and whatever else. So it's no knurling on it. It's just a straight solid bar of steel.
Mm.
Um, and so at the time they weren't allowing grip shirts because in Canada they weren't, for whatever reason, weren't allowing them. And it's raining. So we had this conversation where we go, it's not safe. It's not safe to do this. You can't have us with no grip because the hardest part is they're trying to keep it on our back. So they
Yeah.
finally compromised and said, we'll put you under a tent. So they put us under a tent to squat.
Oh wow.
Terrible.
That's crazy. Wow, that's insane. I'm
Uh-huh.
surprised that they would, yeah, in rain like that, just because it does seem kind of dangerous, and yeah, having the grip would be so important too. So, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's crazy. I didn't realize that they do that. Um, I was thinking about Tampa, at least Tampa bodybuilding show, the Tampa Pro Show is inside, but they picked the hottest, the most humid time of the year to be here. So I think some of the people from up north kind of wilt when they come here. So it's so hot and all, it's early August, so it's like, oh.
Oh, way too hot. Way too hot for me.
But I'm the same. If I try to go up north, I'd freeze my ass off. So
Yeah, or it's just like the snow. I like the snow.
oh man.
Yeah.
Um the I gotta skip ahead a little bit. We've been and I love the discussion. It's been really cool.
Mhm.
I was curious, what do you think is your best muscle group and what muscle group do you think needs the most improvement? Talking about bodybuilding and aesthetics and
Yeah.
stuff.
My back needs a lot of work because my torso is so long and I'm so tall.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
I think initially my legs were the biggest issue because and it's funny. So anybody who goes from strongman or not necessarily powerlifting, it's a little bit different. We'll call strongman into bodybuilding. No, they don't have any legs ever. And so I didn't either coming over. And it's even now, I think they're a huge weakness of mine.
Hmm.
Because well, even last week checking in, we go, okay, like I like where I'm at for leanness sake, but now my legs are starting to disappear because that's what
Hmm.
happened in Vancouver is that I really enjoyed my conditioning, but I looked like I didn't even belong on a bikini stage. Like I just went.
Hmm.
Um,
Really? Yeah.
so my issue is trying to keep that muscle. And so when we talk about nationals, a few of the comments I had from some good friends were like, you weren't lean enough. I'm like, I know, but when we pushed further, I just turned into nothing. And I still
Hmm.
wasn't any leaner just because there's too new muscle. Like my legs are just, it's brand new. I only started really actually bodybuilding here in 2021. Like,
Hmm.
previous to that,
Yeah.
it was no hypertrophy training. I'm new, so that's my challenge now is to try and get some density in the legs and trying to make them stick and stay.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
gotcha.
now that my legs are coming up, I look at my physique and that's why I think I lost a nationals was my back.
Hmm.
My traps are really big, which makes my shoulder caps not look as big.
Okay.
Um, and then I can try and bring my shoulders up, which is this still a really good body part of mine, but it just
Yeah.
doesn't overpower my traps. And then my don't have any lats because everything in strongman is upper back. So my upper back overpowers everything, and then it
Yeah.
makes my lats look small, and then I have a long torso and I'm tall. So it's just sort of like the shape doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I
So
gotcha. Yeah.
without like I need a few like ideally like 3 to 4 pounds on my lats. And then my hamstrings need to improve. My quads still don't really need to be, but
Okay.
um yeah, I mean overall I just need to if I could just bring everything up, I think that would be better too. Like even
Okay.
if in physique I think I need to add on for certain places, but in bodybuilding if I just add in mass, I think it'd be okay, but it's just slow going.
I gotcha. I understand. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe a little more lat action. would help you, I think, in terms of being more competitive too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like your traps though. Your traps are really good, and they're big for sure.
I don't train them at all. I'm trying to make them go away and they won't.
Really? Oh, don't make them go away. No, don't do that.
Well, we're trying to like downsize them slightly just because the back relax looks like it looks like a back lat spread just because it's just like the lat that's just lats. So
Yeah,
yeah, the if we can just bring either bring everything else up or bring the traps down, I think it would look a little bit better.
I got you. I understand that. Yeah. Are you working with a bodybuilding prep coach now?
You betcha. So Brandon, right?
Oh, you're working with Brandon. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah,
just I just was talking to Nadine Phoenix, who's also working with
Mm,
Brandon Ray. And
absolutely.
yeah, I heard he's a really good coach. You like working with him?
Fabulous. Oh, fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Yes.
Mm.
It's just it's I don't have a whole lot of time in my life. Most like work days can be, anywhere from 8 to 12 and all over the
Mm.
place. And
Hmm.
meal timing can be hard depending on when I'm in surgery or not. So he's really sort of reasonable at sort of like, you're an adult, get your stuff done. Like instead of having a coach who's sort of more micromanaging, because the problem
Hmm.
with that is that unless you're here with me, there's no way you can micromanage my life because I can hardly micromanage my own life. Like there's just not enough time and my schedule's just all over the place. Like I
Hmm.
don't know, I could be working till 7 one day. I don't know. So he's
Hmm.
really great at just allowing me to be like, do your stuff, and check-ins are efficient and posing is improved tenfold with him.
Hmm.
Um, it's really great. It's easy.
That's great. You working with him on posing too?
Yeah, oh for sure. I think that like it's I think there's some disconnect between Canada and the United States on certain things, and so for me, I've helped with like helped out at shows and all, but all they're all Canadian shows, and so
Hmm.
the posing's a little bit different. I think it's changing now. But mimicking what I see in Canada, I've gotten some comments like that's not what we do. And to be fair, before Brandon, most of my posing was only ever done by men's bodybuilders. I got
Mm.
men's bodybuilders and like, hey, help me out with this because I'm a fan of men's bodybuilding. So I'm just like, I know these poses, I know how I want to look in them, and so that's where I started. And then, when Brandon's going through them, he's like, you just look big and blocky. I'm like, thanks. And he's like, no. And I was like, oh, like
Oh,
that was my point. I was trying to big and blocky. He's like, no, you
yeah.
are big and
Yeah.
blocky. That's the problem. Oh, okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I totally understand that.
Hmm.
You, what do you mean in terms of difference with the Canadians though versus USA?
Well, well, I think like even sort of what they look for, like physique and bodybuilding in
Yeah.
I mean, I think for a lot of years it was like really, really lean. And again, I don't know crap about crap. I'm new to this sport. I'm just sort
Hmm.
of spitballing here. Like it was very lean. And then, I think, I was competed by the Arnolds. I'm like, okay, well, they're looking for more size versus leanness and shape. Okay, I can do that. And no. And I think Canada tends to be a bit bigger and a bit leaner, which I'm okay with because I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
But depending I think in the last few shows that I've been to, it's been a lot more clear on what they're looking for, which is great because then it's a whole lot easier. But with Brandon, it's really nice because he
Mm.
knows what the pros are looking at. And so for me, I'd rather him like take my physique and do the best that you can to make it look like we're going for a pro stage. And
Mm.
then whatever happens at the amateur level happens at the amateur level. Like if, for
Yeah.
instance,
Mm.
like if when I do get my pro card, I want to be able to walk on a pro stage and
Yeah.
not be laughed off. Is the
Hmm.
goal, right? Like I'm clearly not going to be first callouts, but I'd like to just not be laughed off, right? So that
Yeah.
would be my goal with it. So with the posing is the same. I said, well, I'm aiming for that pro stage. Well, let's just skip whatever differences there may or may not be, and he's not familiar with the differences necessarily up here, so I'm just sort of like sometimes I'll be like, hey, I know that they potentially want a little bit more of this. I need to be a little bit leaner, a little bit less full, a little bit leaner, a little bit less full. So
I gotcha. I understand. That makes sense. I can see that. Yeah.
mhm.
I hadn't thought about there being a difference like that, but I can see that. It makes sense. Plus the poses up there are in French and English. Just
Some of them I think like even nationals wasn't though, but we did have one regional show where there had to be a Spanish translator for a few of them. That was really fun.
oh, really? Oh, cool. I like all the packaging up there in Canada has French and English, and I think it's mandated by this country or something. It's kind
You betcha. Absolutely.
of. Um, I was curious in terms of how working as a veterinarian. How long have you worked as a veterinarian? And I bet it's pretty rewarding to get to work with animals like that.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely love my job. Been vet for around 11 years now.
Cool.
Yeah, so I started in mixed animal, started up north, middle of nowhere by myself. Um, yeah, cattle, horses, sheep and goats, still a lot of sheep and goats. Um, Emergency 24/7 type stuff. So
Yeah.
I had 4 days off a month. The rest of it was 24/7.
Wow.
Um, and then finally I went off 24/7 on call. And that's when I was in Strongman at the time. And so initially I was sort of like, I was okay. I wasn't doing very well. And I shot up and did really well. Everyone's like, what did you do? What did you do? And I'm like, I'm sleeping now.
Oh.
I went off call and I work only 12-hour days instead of, 72 or in, weeks at a
Wow.
time. I'm starting to sleep and then no one believed me and I was like, it's amazing what sleep will do for you. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sleep is
so
good.
then I moved down here and I'm just doing small animal now. So it's a lot
Oh,
more the 8 to 5, or like 7 to 5, whatever. But yeah, a lot more where I can actually get my gym sessions in. I can do more things on the weekend and whatnot, and
that's
yeah,
nice.
live a little.
I bet that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, 24/7 on call would be really tough, I bet. Yeah, no, I understand. That's cool though that you're doing that. I bet it would be neat work too.
Oh yeah, it's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
I was curious if you could tell me about an unusual animal encounter that really stood out to you, or unusual animal maybe.
Well, animal. I worked in Africa for a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
what did we do there? Oh, so I was in West Africa in Ghana. I feel like I love Ghana. The happiest, they have life done right over there. They're wonderful people. So working in West Africa as a veterinarian, um, I worked at a clinic there, but then there was one gentleman who would just take me around to large animal stuff. And so he takes me to the zoo one day. Now, this gentleman, he's a great veterinarian, but he's sort of a quirky fellow, in the sense of I get the impression that he gets the work done, but maybe not so safely. OSHA would be, concerned. Anyway, so we get to the zoo and he gives me this jug of something. He goes, okay, we need to deworm the hyenas. I'm like, okay. And he's like, so what you need to do is you just need to go in there, and then while they're sleeping, he says, you just pour this on and then you run out. And
Gosh.
I was like, oh, that's funny. He's like, no. And I was like, no, that's funny. He's like, no. And I was like, no, no. Because keep in mind, I don't know what was wrong with this hyena or what was going on. His head was this big. The
Wow.
thing was huge. And it was like, it was huge. And I was like, what are
Wow.
you feeding it? First of all. Um, Second of all, the lion is half the size of this thing. Why is it by itself? And no, I'm not going in there. And he's like, oh, no. I'm like, here's what we'll do. And I said, you go in first and show me, and then I'll do it. He's like, no, no. And I said, you see. Anyway, so no one dewormed the hyena. We got a squirt gun method from afar, and that is as
Oh,
close as we got to that thing. Um, oh man, I don't even know. It's just a daily occurrence I'm trying to think of things that aren't so, like, most of them are more tragic, sad. Uh,
oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
yeah, most of them are more like they're more haha dark humor or haha veterinary funny, not so much haha normal people funny.
Hmm.
Um,
I understand.
I have a friend yesterday. I talked to her. She's a doctor as well, and I love chatting with her because it's just dark stories back and forth. Um, I don't know. All the things. I can't think of one thing off the top of my head that's super entertaining, but well, my
Okay.
thing's surgery. So I like to do like take out eyeballs or
Uh-huh.
like for instance, cattle work up north. So, 2 in the morning, hey doc, we need a hand. Okay, go out there, pitch dark. And he goes, see the thing over there? Yeah, that's where she is.
Mm.
Okay. So you get in the back of your truck, you rope the thing from the back of your truck, you tie it
Wow.
to the truck, and then you try and assess, and so it looks like she's calving, so it's just half
Oh,
1 or 2 feet out or whatever. That's about it. And so what
uh-huh.
you usually do then is you tie. It's like she's a bit wild, and so he has no facilities either. So we tie her 2 back feet to a tree, so that
Oh,
she's afraid and goes away from you, so you can manage her. But then when she tries to come at you to kill you, you just go behind the tree, and then she hits the
oh,
tree, and then she goes back out that way, and then you go in and you try and help the calf, and then you just kind
wow.
of keep doing that where you, and then you have someone trying to aggravate her so that she keeps looking that way mad. So and then you pull out the calf, and then once you pull out the calf, you untie her and you run as fast as you can.
Oh, wow. That sounds kind of crazy.
Or like in our facilities up north, they were built beautifully, but the problem with them is that if the cow goes down in the facilities, the only way to get her out is to drag her out by hand or to take her out in pieces. So, and most of the farmers up there are older. So I'm talking, Farmer Joe comes in 72 years old with his cane and his, young grandchild. And they have, the cow who no one can touch, and they call the cow man eater. So bring the cow in, and she's clearly not doing so hot. This is probably not going to end well for anybody. So I said, look, I'll try, but this isn't going to go well. I said, I can probably get you a live calf, but not a live cow. So
Yeah.
get the
Wow.
calf out, suture her up, and I go, okay, we'll just get her back on the trailer. And then she goes down and she doesn't get back up. So
Wow.
he's like, no, I really want to keep her. I'm like, okay, well, it's just me. There is no one else. There's just me in this. So I pulled it out by hand. Me
Oh,
dragged
wow.
it all the way down the alley, and then we got up to the trailer, and you come along, get her up on the trailer, push her in, and move her along.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Maneater. You don't want to mess with Maneater.
I'm like, why do you keep this cow every year? She's in here trying to kill us. Like, please.
That makes
But
life more challenging. That's crazy though.
oh, man. Yeah, I know. So yeah, and there's a lot of like, out in the, and so out there too, when you head out from town, you'll be a good 2 3 hours before you hit either civilization or a gas station.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just gotta like, if you're out there, yeah, good luck if you're on your own.
Yeah, I bet. That's challenging, I bet. Yeah. That's pretty cool though that you did that. I grew up on a 5 acre ranchette, and we had
Oh,
cattle and horses, and yeah, it was fun growing up with those.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always
Um
fun, that's for sure. Yeah, the cattle work, I miss the cattle work until you start working with them again, and you go, oh, this is why. This is why I
yeah.
didn't want to do this. Yeah, because
Yeah,
like
you
all my
remember.
injuries were from cattle. They were never, well, actually, so the tricep injury was from Worlds, but my knee injury was so my boss always got the easy C sections, so normal C sections. Me, I got conjoined twins every single time. I got so many of those, or like high drops, or infections, or torsions, or you name it, or 3-headeds or whatever. So um,
Wow.
the they would just go down all the time, and so he would come up, be like, "Oh, that was a nice easy C-section." I'm like, "Oh, why aren't you around with the hard ones?" Yeah, but yeah, those ones they go down, and then you got to pull them out from the bottom. And so the one where I wrecked my knee, she went down, and but she went down like a proper up. So I'm just working on my knees, and then of course like they inevitably bleed a little bit, and so because the drain is on the other side of the cow, I'm just kneeling, and about 4 inches of blood. It was nice and toasty warm, so I was happy with it. But we've been there for a while, and it turns in super cold. So I've been sitting down for, I think it took me 2.5 hours. It was a problem. Okay, I can do my C sections in 30 minutes. It was just a problem. So been down for
Yeah.
a while ago to get up, and my meniscus goes snap, and I go, oh, yep, there it is.
Oh no. Oh
You just
no.
feel the meniscus pop back over. You're like, oh, oh dear.
Oh no, that's not
Uh,
good.
so yeah,
Oh,
all injuries are usually cattle related.
well, yeah, I can see that. That's so cool though that you do that for a living. I think that's really rewarding work, I bet. And I bet working with small animals is a lot less stressful, probably less taxing on your body too.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's why most of us get out of that, is because yeah, it's kind of like trauma. It's not a matter if or when you get hurt, because again, you're by yourself too. So,
Yeah.
um,
That's
yeah, I
tough.
just yeah. So it's a lot nicer. I mean, there's a lot more like aggressive German shepherds you got to dodge and and
Yeah.
get out of the way, but they're a little bit nicer than cows.
Yeah, I bet the volume of poopage is less too. You know, you don't have as much poopage. So.
Yeah, sort of less covered in blood, like the showered in blood gets a little old after a while. Yeah.
Oh God, that's not good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm running low on time, and I have to follow or maybe follow up later with other questions, but that I have.
So,
No, I really appreciate your time. I was just wondering if there's anything I missed that you'd like to address, or anybody you'd like to shout out.
no, not really. My friend does my hair. She's Bella here. She's Weave Life. That's my big supporter. And my hubby Elvis. I love him. But other than that, it's just me and Brandon, and doing our thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. No, I saw that. I think that was listed on your Instagram page too. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
She's
And I was curious if you have any other sponsors, or are you interested in getting some sponsors?
always open to conversations and things like that. So right now, it's just me. Because most of the time I don't have a whole lot of extra time. But yeah, always open to people. My favorite sponsor was Gym Junkies Australia. He had to shut down due to COVID, but shout out to him. What a sweetheart. Loved his supplements, and you should start back up. But anyway, but yeah,
Cool.
no, I don't have any sponsors right now.
Okay, no, that's cool. Very cool. I was curious, would you mind doing a couple of flexes for me? See how you're
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, you betcha. I even see. I tried with the natural lighting here. See where I hold on,
I like the natural light. Yeah, it looks good.
especially with like. There we go.
Wow, you look great, Alyssa.
Good,
Amazing.
good. Yeah. Yay.
Wow, you're looking amazing.
Getting there slowly.
Wow, look
Oh,
at the tricep. Wow, tricep looks great.
getting there. Just
Thank
need
you.
my legs to come in.
Oh, you look amazing. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There we go. Whoops. Yeah,
Um,
thank you for having me on. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being a fan of women's bodybuilding and women's physique. We appreciate you and everybody who's a fan. Maybe shout out to the fans, because I mean that's really what builds everything, and that's what gets where we need to be. So we love and support you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. I definitely appreciate it and appreciate your time, and best wishes to you at Toronto too. I hope you do. Hope you
I
get
need
your
all.
pro card there.
Oh, I hope so. Manifest it.
Yeah, manifest it. Definitely think positive. You know, you're going to get there. So definitely.
Awesome. Alrighty, well, I'll let you go, and thank you, and don't work too hard today.
Thank you.
Alrighty.